All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Randy Salser, the president of NAFCU Services. I'll be the moderator today. We're going to discuss how credit unions can compete and win in the commercial banking market. We're interested to hear where your credit union is on your commercial banking journey and how you can make a difference in the market. We'll hear from our panelists today to hear their perspective on what's next in business banking to stimulate the conversation, but dialogue and diversity of thought is where we all will be better off as we get together today. We got quite a lineup for you. I want to introduce first Haley Murph. Haley is the Vice President of eServices and Payments at Gulf Winds Credit Union. With 20 years of transformational leadership experience in the financial institution industry, Haley brings a wealth of knowledge in digital banking, retail, and commercial payments, digital innovation, coaching, mentoring, and all other things in the space. Thanks for being here today, Haley.
Thanks, Randy. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Next is Tim Wooldridge. Sorry, Tim. He's the SVP of Digital Banking for UNIFY Federal Credit Union. He leads the strategy and delivery of digital products and payment solutions for the credit union, helping to make the digital the preferred channel for their members and their businesses. Thanks for being here, Tim.
Thanks, Randy. Glad to do so.
All right. Next is Kirk Coleman. Kirk is Q2's Chief Banking Officer. He leads the strategy, product, and marketing at Q2. Today, he's going to be offering his perspective on business banking and how this relates to credit unions. So welcome, Kirk.
Good afternoon, Randy. Good to be here.
All right. And finally, we have Dean Jenkins. He's Q2's VP of Marketing and plays a key role in establishing Q2 product strategies and that are aligned with the needs of financial institutions and businesses of all sizes. Dean, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Randy. Excited to be here with the panel.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's a new thing we're trying here at NAFCU today. So I'd love your feedback and everyone's dialogue as we go. I'll kick it off with a little bit of housekeeping. As I mentioned, we encourage this to be an open discussion. So if anytime you'd like to contribute to the conversation, we ask you please use the raised hand feature within the Zoom interface. I'll call on you to come off mute and contribute to the discussion, but that way we don't talk over each other all at once. That happens so often in these meetings. We'll be conducting a few polls as well throughout today's discussion. We look forward to your participation in those. Stefan, my colleague, will be posting those up and then posting the results as well. So we'll discuss and have dialogue around that. We won't do a formal Q&A at the end, but we'll do our best to address as many questions as we can as they come through while we're live. That's really, again, what this is about, is dialogue. And if we don't get the chance to answer your questions or discuss your questions, we'll make sure someone follows up with you after the meeting. So again, I want to thank everyone for coming today and all of the attendees for joining us and encourage you to be a part of this discussion. So let's dive right in. All right, so we're going to start off with the kind of the credit union journey. We're going to start by asking our panelists where they are on their commercial journey. And again, I encourage folks to ring in and have dialogue around this as well. So Haley, we're going to kick it off with you. Where are you guys on your commercial journey?
Yeah, sure. So at Gulf Winds, we are really wanting to remain competitive, just like every other credit union. And really, we are looking to diversify our loan portfolio in a different way. And so right now, we are just in the beginning phase of our commercial strategy. Our approach is kind of a measured approach of engaging with consultants to really determine what gaps we have in our knowledge and our understanding, of commercial spaces. And really, we want to assess our membership base. We want to define opportunities in the market. And again, uncover those gaps that we really don't know about right now. So we're going to lean on consulting. And then the other thing that's going to be important with us, as we move into that journey, is really focusing on those digital first experiences.
Yeah, I know that's where your expertise lies on that. So I bet you're excited to kind of get this thing rolling. So during our planning leading up to this, Tim, I know you guys are in a little different spot at UNIFY. Can you talk to us about where you guys are? Oh, you're on mute, Tim.
Somebody's bingo card just got missed.
Under 2 minutes was the winner.
That's right, exactly right. Yeah, so similar to Haley, hey, we we try to look at our long range plan strategy. Hey, how do we need to continue to grow and meet our members' needs, 2025, looking out kind of a business type of thing. And then you take that and you look at, well, what are we doing well, right? And keep building upon that. And, we've done a good job at building our commercial real estate loan base and had really good success at that. So we kind of combined those together, and that kind of drove our decision. Okay, we want to expand that, right? So for us, that meant, hey, how do we make sure that we give them the right tools to really go beyond just their loan, but actually managing their financial accounts, doing transactions. So that's where, actually we talked with Q2 about this as well, telling them, here's where we're going. And they kind of helped guide us on our thinking, but it's really about bringing those kind of services to that particular client base, that is the large commercial clients that drove our decisions. So what we've done this year, really spent the bulk of this year trying to stand up our digital platform. And that means, hey, we had to bring in expertise, both for the business side as well as the digital side. And we've been busy building that out. We actually have made good progress. We're at a point now where we should be able to bring on our first members onto that platform before end of year.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And so I forgot to ask you, Tim, what's your asset size? I know this, but just for the audience.
Yeah, we're at 4.2 billion.
4.2. How about you guys, Haley?
1.1.
1.1 billion. Okay. Super interesting dialogue around that. Tim, off script a little bit, I think easy. So I hope I'm not throwing you a curveball, but this is kind of what this is about. As you hired for that, was it hard to hire folks for that? I get to speak at a lot of these conferences, and we're on the road a lot. And right now, of course, capital's the issue and liquidity, but the second part is kind of the human capital and being able to hire and retain folks. Were you guys able to find people pretty easy?
Yeah, so hey, finding people is always a challenge, right? Finding good quality folks.
Good
but,
point.
But, I know later you had a question on, hey, what do we see as challenges? And finding talent is part of the challenge, right? Because if you look at it, from our perspective, in-house, that expertise didn't just naturally, exist. So we had to be intentional going out and trying to find, first of all, on the business side, folks who really understood the commercial business as well as those commercial members and what they need. And then we also went out and got some digital expertise as well, folks who have actually worked with online digital platforms that focused on digital. And they're not easy to find, but we did find them, and that I can tell you that has paid dividends in finding the right folks.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so we're going to jump into our first poll. Stefan is a colleague of ours. Say hi, Stefan. Wave to everyone. Thanks for posting the poll. Everybody, you guys take a look at that. Go through. We're going to be, where are you in your commercial banking journey? I'll give everybody some time to go through these answers because they are wordy, but it helps as we kind of mold the dialogue. We need the Jeopardy music, Stefan. I should have do. All right. Getting quite a bit in here. All right, a few more seconds. Looks like quite a few folks have engaged here. All right, Stefan, go ahead and in the poll and post the results for us to take a look at. Okay, so it looks like, if I'm reading this right, they already serve small and commercial businesses and established go-to-market strategy and just started executing. That's pretty interesting. Kirk, are you surprised by these poll results? And maybe, do you have any advice that you could give to credit unions that are entering this commercial banking market?
Yeah, not too surprised by this. I think this has certainly been an area of interest for many of the credit unions that we talk to, and some are still in the early stages and trying to figure out their strategy, and others further along. I think it's a really exciting time for credit unions to be thinking about this strategically for a number of reasons. One is that the thing that have always made credit unions special, right, is your really intimate knowledge with the communities that you serve, the individuals in those communities, kind of what makes them tick. And for everyone that's kind of out of the industry, I don't think they have a great enough appreciation for just kind of how important that local knowledge and expertise is. That extends to the businesses. that are in those communities, right? And the people that are running them. And so I think this opportunity to kind of really lean into that kind of that relationship aspect is important. And now you have available to you a lot of technology tools and know-how that maybe was less affordable or not even available that long ago. I don't think it's a big secret that in the SMB and commercial space, frankly, from an innovation perspective, it's still catching up a little bit to what we've seen on the consumer side. So I think it's a really exciting time, and everyone will find their kind of their own way of stepping into that market.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Anybody have anything for the good of the order, or any questions or dialogue around this that you're seeing at your credit unions, or questions for our panel, questions for me that I could direct to the panel, because I don't have a lot of subject matter expertise on this. Before we jump to our next section is going to be discussing the commercial banking market. So any questions before we jump into that? All right, seeing none, going once. All right, let's jump into the commercial banking market. We'll transition the discussion a little bit into more of a current commercial banking market. So Tim, what kind of businesses does UNIFY target?
Yeah, so good question. I think let me kind of take a step a little bit back on that, and just, the types of business, not specific, hey, what business they're in, but when we started on this, again, we were successful at large commercial loans, right? And so that was naturally our thought of, okay, we'll serve that market. And so let's build tools, let's build infrastructure that really targets that particular base. And when I say that kind of business, I'm talking about, hey, they need treasury services, they need wires, they need ACH, subsidiaries, they need to be able to have multiple levels to initiate a transaction and approve it, and tokens and reporting and cash management, all the great stuff you'd expect. So that quite honestly, that was our tunnel vision, and that's where we're going. At the same time, we have a dedicated data analytics team within digital, right? So, and we started kind of pondering through, hey, what does our existing membership base tell us that we already have? So we spent a lot of time really curating and looking at existing data, and I can tell you that was a little bit eye-opening, because what we discovered is, hey, like any other credit union, you grow over multiple years, mergers and come in, and so you have a different base, and you think you got everybody categorized correctly, but then you look at it and say, no, we really don't. But we looked at their financial activity, we looked at who was moving large amounts of money, on a daily basis, or we even took snapshots every single day and kind of followed their path. And it really revealed to us that we have, a couple of thousand existing business members in our portfolio. And when you do that, it kind of says, okay, wait a minute. Couple of things. One, it affirmed our direction. Hey, we need to have these kind of services, because you start kind of feeling a little bit uneasy the fact that you have this many members in your base and they have a large amount of money with the credit union, and we know we're not providing the kind of services that they could get elsewhere, right? So that puts us at risk. The other thing it did is we realized we need a bigger boat. Our thoughts of, hey, we'll just go with this commercial and we're good, kind of got shattered. And so now that we've got the platform stood up again, about to bring on some members, but we're actually being intentional about defining segmentation of micro, small, and commercial, and identifying the kind of levels and features that business set would need, and then to making sure that we have corresponding support and all the products around that. So again, it's been a little bit eye-opening. We took off in a certain direction, and it was affirmed, but it also became clear that we needed to go beyond our initial thoughts.
I like that. It's not specific businesses, it's business and finding your members and what they actually need. I love that.
Mhm.
Haley, how about you guys?
So we're in a little bit of a different position than Tim, but I'm taking notes from you because that was really good stuff. So right now we do have micro business accounts here at Gulf Wind. So we focus on, you know, the checking products and things like that for those micro businesses, but we know they need more. And so for us, you know, we would start with the existing membership base that we have and really figure out, like you mentioned, Tim, of what do they need from us? What is their current activity? But we also know that we don't know what we don't know. So we're going to go back to that consulting, you know, conversation and really engage those consultants and help us understand, you know, we have some members already, but where is our potential market? What should we be looking at? And then really taking that data and really determining where we should start. Of course, we want to start with the businesses that we already have and try to find ways to help them with better services and loans. But we also want to engage that consulting firm to help us understand the market even better.
Yeah, everybody's on that data journey, right? How can you get the right amount of data that's actionable data, right? We talk about this a lot, and a lot of folks are like, I get you all the data lakes in the world, and they use all these fancy terms, and then I'm like, well, I just have a big data lake. Can you give me like just a small section of that data? I want to be able to utilize it, you know, strategically and actionable. So that'll bring us to our next poll. Stefan, would you post the next poll? This next poll is going to be what types of businesses is your credit union targeting, and a little bit about kind of you see the difference in what Haley and Tim were both brought to the table. So think about that as we fill this one out. And the polls, you can move this around your screen, and I didn't realize it before, but I was trying to look around and see folks, and then I realized I can do that. So maybe everybody knew that, but if not, we at least filled some time while I was waiting for you guys to fill everything out. All right, we'll give it a few more seconds. All right, Stefan, go ahead and post the results on that. Great, thank you. Okay, looks pretty across the board, pretty even. So Dean, what do you think about that? Any surprises in these results, or any perspective on how the digital technology can help? We talked about data, we talked about a lot of things. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, a couple of things that stand out as you think about how your target market, and I love the comments that Tim and Haley had around data and understanding who your target market is and what type of members do you have and what type of businesses do they have. Maybe it's in the question, but you know, specifically targeting like small businesses in vertical industries is actually something that's really in discussion in the industry today, because I think things have significantly changed, especially with small and medium-sized businesses. And I'm talking about businesses in general that are maybe $1 to $5 or $10 million in annual sales, which is probably a lot of the, you know, to Haley and Tim's point, probably a lot of the relationships that credit unions have today with their members, as you know, those business owners. And things have changed. You know, I go back a while in my banking experience, and when we looked at small, medium-sized businesses and why did they select a financial institution, for years and years it was branch location. And now technology in digital specifically is starting to change that. You're starting to see where small, medium-sized businesses, 3 and 4 of them are saying, I'd be willing to switch financial institutions for a better digital experience. And that really creates an opportunity for credit unions. Kirk mentioned, you know, the affinity that business members have for their credit union. And actually there's a preference just in general of small, medium-sized businesses and even commercial businesses that prefer to bank locally or regionally or within their community. So it really comes down to how do you provide the right experience, the right set of products, solutions for the right business. And that's really starting to level the playing field, where to get into some of these markets, you had to have a footprint, you had to have a number of branches in a specific region. That may no longer be true if you can have the right digital solution and you can create tailored solutions. I think Tim mentioned, hey, we kind of thought we needed the commercial capability around like things like ACH and wire and those different capabilities, and just a generic or utility sense. That's starting to switch too. I think the days of one size fits all commercial banking solutions are ending. And those that can really target specific types of businesses with the solutions they need delivered in the experience that they expect can really compete and win in the market. And it really creates a big opportunity for credit unions to really go after specific target markets and specific types of businesses.
Hey, Dean, I'm sorry, Randy, to jump in here.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
To build upon that comment there, we actually, when we are, again, focusing on that commercial large base, we anticipated that they would never walk into a branch, right?
Yeah.
And all of the relationship would really be from a dedicated team to those businesses, and really setting up digital tools around that for that kind of ongoing repetitive, but a ongoing dialogue, really from a digital sense between a dedicated team and that business owner and their overall business structure would be possible, and not have to require them to actually come into a branch. And now, again, as we kind of go down into the smaller ones, the small businesses, the micro, that may be a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those large ones, we anticipated that they may not ever walk into a branch.
Yeah, it's just to add on to that, really where you're going, Tim, with that is it's bigger than just thinking about digital banking. It's literally like thinking about how to digitize the bank, right? Or the credit union.
Right.
And really thinking about how do you interact and connect all of those touch points with the customer base, whether it's commercial or small business, right? To really give them the feeling that everything is interconnected. It's no longer like, hey, I'm talking to the in-person sales team, and then the digital channel doesn't understand what's going on, or vice versa. So that's still really super important. And then tailoring those conversations, which is where you were going with the consultative approach, right? With your bankers that are out there talking to them, understanding their business and understanding what challenges they have and what solutions that you can offer to those specific businesses.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, that I like that dialogue too, Tim and Dean, both, as you're talking about, you're trying to find and bridge the gap for a small business that's doing $3 or $4 million in sales through their debit or checking account, and trying to help them with all these other services that can help payroll, like a lot of the treasury even stuff too. So very good dialogue. Anyone want to jump in on this before we get into the next section, which is some of the challenges, which I jumped the gun on a little bit. Sorry about that. But how about you guys? Chad, out at Credit Union Colorado, where are you guys at in your journey?
We're kind of just getting started. We've done small micro loans, and now wanting to get into the commercial space. And to be honest, one of the hurdles we've had is with our online and mobile banking partner doesn't have a strong business banking platform. And so really waiting for them to try to get that developed. It's kind of that chicken or the egg, right? You need to be able to, right, to be able to support these businesses and provide them a solution that's viable against our competition. Yet, if we wait too long, we may not get anything. So really trying to, and kind of like what Haley spoke to, we really are now kind of just vetting our existing business owners and looking at cash flows and reaching out to those business partners and saying, hey, what do you need from a loan perspective and lending perspective? Because we did just change our business lending policy to really be able to incorporate working lines of capital and commercial and other things. And so leveraging those existing relationships, because they already know our shortcomings a little bit. And so, and they're patient with us. And so leveraging that, and then hopefully we'll have our online banking partner have something ready for Q3 of 2023, and then really expand from there. But we did hire a business services manager that came from the banking space recently, so a lot of experience there. So really just kind of getting started. And the other side with the economy and a potential recession, the CRE space, I'm not too excited to get into at the moment to see where things are at. So from a pricing place, so yeah, it's kind of, we're just getting our feet wet. But
it's a good time to be doing it. I love the active reach out, right? Actively reaching out is a good point to say, hey, what can we do? How can we help? So very good. Thank you. And thanks for being a good sport when I called on you directly when you didn't do that. So thank you. That could have whiffed bad. So thanks so much for participating. We're going to jump into challenges now. Again, anytime jump in on these things. We'll discuss the challenges involved, not only with this, but kind of in general and tangential to this. Many credit unions, like we've talked about, are new or on the beginning phases of this, and commercial banking is not an easy market to break into. So Haley, what are some of the biggest challenges you think you guys will face as a new entrant into this space?
So I think we've touched on a lot of them already. I think one of our bigger ones will be talent. I think Tim mentioned that, and I believe Chad mentioned that too, is, trying to find the right people that understand this space. And, we don't have right now, currently, we don't have that here. And so we're really, that's going to be a challenge. And we're up to that challenge and understanding that we really have to admit what we don't know. So, and I think one of the bigger ones, because my passion is digital experiences, and the more you talk to me, that's what you're going to hear about a lot. But providing that seamless onboarding experience, the seamless lending journey, that's going to be a challenge because, we have to really understand the needs. And I think going back to what Tim said, of understanding that they may want to do business with us completely digitally and never have that contact like some of our retail members do. So we're really focusing on that. I believe it'll be a challenge just because we don't fully understand what that end-to-end should look like just yet. So we're still working through that. And then I think, of course, technology and compliance. Compliance goes back to the gap in our experience here. We have some people that have come from the banking world. And so, of course, we'll lean on some of that experience, I think. But compliance is one of those challenges when you don't have that talent in-house that fully understands it. So I think those are some of our bigger challenges.
Yeah. Tim, how about you guys?
Yeah, similar, and kind of echoing back some of the previous comments. If I kind of categorize them a little bit, one is expertise, right? And where do we get that? How do we build it? We had to go outside. We just had to, right? To get a lot of that. But it's really even beyond just the talent. It is, if you think about it, and Haley, you guys may experience the same thing. All of our, think about this, our muscle memory is around supporting retail members, right? That's who we are. So if you walk into a branch, if you were to call, the number, if you were to go to live chat, however you engage with our credit union, those team members were highly qualified to support a retail member, right? And did an outstanding job, right? So now how do we take that and suddenly switch it to a business supplemented model, right? I'll call it that, right? And we wrestled with that a little bit. Okay, do we really expect every team member in UNIFY to have a level of business expertise? And the answer came out no, that's not realistic. So sometimes you have to quickly get them to the right channel. But that's where some digital tools, that we're looking at really can kind of help. So it's the talent, it's also the infrastructure, and then it is really your digital solutions as well. Again, we had a great retail solution. It's with Q2. Hey, they had a commercial base, so hey, it made sense to extend it from there. That way, it's really the same administration type platform, but different channels, on who it's being provided for. And that's proven out to be a good method for us to follow. Now, even with that, Haley, you mentioned sometimes we don't even know what we don't know. And there's been many times over the past year we sat there and kind of looked at each other and realized that. So one thing we did on that is we did bring in Q2 advisory services to say, all right, you talk with other clients who actually do this. What can you advise us on? Really looking at for them to say, help us think through this. What are we not thinking of? Even how do we think about pricing? How do we think about policies? How do we think about segmentation? And that's proven of value as well to, in some cases, to affirm, many things that we're already thinking, but also to challenge us on, hey, are we really ready? We'll call it organization readiness. Are we really ready to support this in a big way?
I love that. I'm going to get on my soapbox quick. So Stefan, just mute me if I go for too long. But this is what I like about the credit union industry. I love it. I mean, we're talking and sharing dialogue. And while a lot of the experiences sound a little different, it's really just nuances of, right? Tim, you had business banking members inside your institution that you guys may not have had the scale and scope into. Chad's asking his members right now that are already with them, hey, we're going to embark upon this journey. And so I guess I'll try to keep myself from being long-winded, Stefan, but I encourage everyone on this call to reach out to each other and look at the names on this call, because they'll take your call. And whether it's LinkedIn or email, or call me and I'll give you their email, but reach out to them, because they're happy to share their experiences, at least in my experience. And I've been here 10 years, so I know most of the folks on this call. So I'll stop and we'll jump into our next poll question here about what are some of the biggest challenges your credit union faces as a newer entrant into the commercial banking market? Give folks some time to jump into this one. Look at him. See how good he is? That's what I'm telling you guys. He's so good. It's so good. Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and post those results on here. And it looks like across the board, right? Most of these things are what we're talking about today, between talent, technology, understanding of the market. And I think we have a pretty good idea about the understanding of the market, but it's at what capacity we serve each individual aspect of that. So Kirk, I'll jump to you on this one. Any surprises that you can see here, or maybe we can just talk particularly about some of the advice on how to overcome some of these challenges you guys have seen?
Yeah, we can kind of thread some of these things together.
Right.
I used to help run a commercial bank, and I can remember many times all the operations reported up to me. I can remember many times thinking, who decided we should do it this way? And it was decided by, people that no longer work for the bank, to conform the technology that no longer existed. But we never took. So I'm kind of envious for those of you who are kind of early in the journey. It reminds me of a bumper sticker we used to have out in West Texas in the late '80s. This is like, please God, one more oil boom. We promise not to screw it up, and so
This time.
Yeah, right. And but in all seriousness, I think it's again, this is let's see the opportunity and the obstacle, right? And what I mean by that is you get to maybe if talent's a challenge, right? Maybe you find some unconventional talent to help you to solve this. I mean, look, we have to be responsible. We have to manage our risks, right? We have to actually know how to operate. But maybe there's some unconventional talent that you can apply towards your goals and rethink some of the processes that you're going to scale as you lean further and further into it, and as you discover which markets that you really want to be good at, or which industries or which types of customers rather. And then you're kind of got that good strategic clarity, and you're really matching your operating tactics and the talent as a result. I would say if you're interviewing a commercial lender or a treasury management officer or a commercial operations person, ask them, hey, how would you reimagine this? If I just gave you a blank sheet of paper, what would you reimagine? How would you go about this? Even if you don't hire that person, you may get some really good ideas, right, to think about in a different way of approaching the problem. And happily, you do that, it's kind of like good compound interest. You do that enough and you'll end up with a solution that fits a modern technology stack, that uses talent in a creative way, and that meets your market needs in a very, how you decided it, right? You just didn't get drug into it, right? But you made the specific decisions around that. So I think that is a muscle, right, that you got to exercise every day, and it's like one of those things. It's not a project; it's something you do forever in pursuit of running a really good financial institution. But that adds up. It adds up over a long, even in the short run, it can make a really big difference, right? A couple key hires and you could be off to the races. So I think that's really exciting. And let's face it, we're in some tumultuous economic times. Maybe you all know, I don't know exactly what next year is going to look like. But what I do know is that credit unions that have that, again, really good strategic alignment with what their communities need most, this is a great opportunity to thrive, right? Go out and find that talent from organizations that are getting a little bit of wobbly, maybe people looking for a different kind of opportunity. The types you're looking for, right? Those people who have really good mission fit. They feel really compelled to work in the financial institutions because of the jobs that you do for the people that you serve. And so I think it's a great opportunity, but you got to do it every day.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
agree.
exercise.
I agree with that. And like that muscle that you talked about is the other side of that, is being able to change course a little bit. It's not a complete 180. It doesn't have to be anything else.
Point.
But as you go down that journey, even just a little bit of a course correction, or not even a correction, just a course, just going around something that gets in your way is super important. Dean, let's talk about Q2 Catalyst. I know you guys recently announced that. How can Q2 Catalyst help in this market?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what Haley alluded to, which was it's not just about the digital banking experience. It's bigger than that, right? I mentioned, digitize the bank or the credit union. And it starts from day one when you're talking to a new prospect, or you're thinking about expanding that relationship with an existing member. How do you have the right tools that your teams need to really operate in this digital world, that are all interconnected with another set of tools that your operations teams need to administer and set up all the new products and the solutions, a mix of self-service, to Tim's point, self-service and in-person set of tools. So do you have the right self-service tools for small, medium-sized businesses that want to open up business accounts or apply for a loan digitally, and at the same time be able to serve a different set of customers with tools with your in-person sales team and your treasury management officers. And then once they become your customer, how do you serve them better with not just one size fits all, but tailored experiences and solutions that make sense to them? And then even going beyond traditional banking and thinking about all of the different additional financial tools that businesses need and may not be coming to a financial institution for, so they can really become their partner, right? And so at the end of the day, Q2 Catalyst is a set of solutions that really helps financial institutions to navigate the journey for their customers from day one, but also help with the journey of financial institutions, the credit unions. I agree with Kirk. This is a really interesting time to be entering the commercial banking market. You look at it from, what are the hurdles? Like, I need to have different talent. I may have to upgrade my technology and stuff like that. But if you look at it from like a large bank's perspective, who has years and years and decades of legacy processes and manual things that they have implemented to serve the commercial banking market, to move, they have to undo all that stuff. I love Kirk's comment about who decided to do it this way. Well, it was an accumulation, right, over time, that process on top of process. And now they're trying to untangle that to really be effective in a digital world. That's an advantage that new entrants like credit unions have into this market. You can think about it in a different context because there's different capabilities that you may not have been available 10 years ago, right? And things have changed and the technology is evolving, and the interoperability of all these different solutions is starting to be real. We've been talking about it for years and years. And so that's really what Q2 Catalyst is all about. Is how do we help you compete and win in the market, and then really serve the target markets and the businesses that you want to win business with better solutions, better experiences, more proactiveness around how do you anticipate their needs through data, all of that, really thinking about their journey, but then also meeting the financial institution where they're at in their journey. Doesn't mean you have to take all of it. It's where are you going next? What's the next best thing for you? And just working together with you, like Tim said, with our advisory services team to really chart the journey for that makes sense to to the credit union, and not everybody's in the same position as we've seen through the poll results throughout the
Yeah.
conversation.
It's interesting because I won't say everybody, I'll say NAFCU that way. I mean, it's like at NAFCU, sometimes we look around and we say, man, how did we get here? Why, if we built it today, would we build it this way? Right. So
Right.
there is a bit of an advantage to being kind of on the, cutting edge, starting edge of this market, I'll say. So that is a good point as you bring it up. So any questions or challenges before we go into our last section on kind of the fintech part of this? All right, we're going to jump into, there's a lot of dialogue about this kind of every conference I go to, like I talked about, and every webinar I sit on, it's all about, fintech and how do fintech and bank credit union partnerships work, and how do you engage, and what's the best way to engage. So Tim, let's start with you on this one. How does UNIFY look at fintech partnerships?
Yeah, great question. We count on them, right? I mean, the reality is we're not going to try to build all this on our own, right?
Yeah.
So we have to have good partners, right? And that, I think that partnership is the key word there. Is someone who really can understand where we are, where we're trying to go, and can really provide solutions and advice and counsel on how to get there. That's critical. Now, beyond that, I mean, same thing you'd expect from any type of fintech and digital provider. They got to be flawless in their delivery. They need to be innovative, knowing throughout all those terms. But they're really, I think of it as I want to partner with those who really have a product-driven mindset, right? And by that, I mean, they're really trying to continue to invest in the product and grow the product, not just checkbox, hey, it meets this need, and so therefore, there it is. So I'm looking for that a lot of times, and we use Q2, but we're not exclusive on Q2 on all of our digital products, and I don't expect it will be single siloed like that. But what I do like about what Q2 provides is even on the business space is the marketplace, right, where we can go and make use of other fintechs that are integrated into the solution for add-on services that maybe just a few of our members need, maybe a lot of our members need, but we can rapidly get those things to market. And then, what we look at from any of our providers is they have to be open. We've got to be able to supplement it with our own capabilities, our own logic, our own type of interface. That's critical for us because there's some things that we want to do faster, or we want to do differently, and we need that kind of flexibility. And then the other thing that I'm obviously looking for on any provider is data. We thrive on it, and if ever I'm meeting with a vendor, that's going to be one of the questions is exactly how much data can you give me, and I'm expecting all of it, right? Exactly. And when there's resistance to that, then I'm thinking, okay, I may not be in the right spot.
Yeah. We jump real quick to one of the questions in the chat. Chad asked, it's probably for Dean or Kirk, can Q2 Catalyst be used as a standalone solution?
So I can take that one. So Q2 Catalyst is really a suite of like 15 to 20 different solutions. Many of those can be purchased as standalone to plug into the financial institution's ecosystem, right? And so whether that's like relationship pricing that we have a solution that is built for the in-person sales team to really understand the deal and the loan and the profitability of that, or it's onboarding tools like maybe it's self-service for small business lending or business account opening. We have a treasury onboarding tool set that can be plugged into other ecosystems as well. And then we have fraud and analytics capabilities that are part of that, whether it's positive pay or ACH fraud analytics that can plug into a number of different environments. So I would have said that, like I said, it's not that you have to buy everything at one time, and you don't even have to buy it necessarily from Q2. We plug into literally dozens and dozens of third-party solutions to really help financial institutions build out their end-to-end ecosystem, and many of our products can plug into that.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, John. I'm going to jump to you in 1 second from Del One, but I'll give you guys a little bit of the backstory about Hank, the founder of Q2, and Matt, the CEO. I've had the great fun and pleasure to be able to hang out with them. We all like to hunt, so we've hunted together quite a few times. But if you want to talk passion about serving community banking, sit for about 4 minutes with Hank and you'll be ready to take on anyone in the world in this space, because he's very incredibly passionate about it. It's a lot of fun. So everything that Dean's talking about fits right with that. He's going to do the best that he can, or provide the vision around, so Matt will go execute around helping community credit unions and community financial institutions. So John, from Del One, let's jump over to you for quick questions, and we'll go back to Haley.
Okay, just I guess quickly for the group, those or the panel, is Q2? I mean, are you leveraging your own loan operating system? And along those lines, are you using OCR technology? And to what extent do the systems, and are you consulting or recommending folks benchmark against RMA or Moody's data?
That's a pretty big question. A lot of parts of that one, John. And I'm probably over my skis on some of that. But as far as like the loan operating system, we did acquire a digital loan operating system in 2018. That solution set was primarily focused on the alt FI, and we have built on top of that to build a number of products, including small business lending that includes like the origination approval process, the whole loan processing piece along with that. So as far as like, are we using OCR? We use OCR, ICR, lifting data images, whether it's driver's license or documents throughout the solution set. So a short answer would be yes, we use OCR capabilities throughout the solution. And we're always looking at better opportunities to get more information that you guys need to either auto decision or to review in the back office as far as documentation. So we have a number of partners that we work with to plug into that loan process, such as like OCR or ICR providers. Now, as far as the benchmarking against Moody's, I'll pass it on to Kirk, or I'll have to pass and get back to you on that specific question.
Yeah, as far as the benchmarking to Moody's specifically, it's really not a piece of the functionality that's in our current roadmap. That doesn't mean it won't be. As Dean was describing, there's a lot of pieces to the Catalyst story, and so each product has its own roadmap in addition to be connected to all together. But
Great.
So if I may, as a point of clarification,
Sure.
I apologize if I'm overstepping. Then so the OCR, and it doesn't have to be Moody's theoretically, it could be RMA, which may be a preferable benchmark strategy depending upon the organization where it's located. But the other question as it relates to OCR, is this OCR technology referencing actually handling the spreads for you to reduce FTE requirements? And then also, do you link to a third party to help with loan review like REIS?
Yeah, I don't know that we link to a third party at this point. But as far as like the statement spreading, those are capabilities some capabilities that we have, and some third parties that we're integrating with to do the statement spreading. So we can follow back up with you, John, before I paint myself into a corner on the call, and get you some more specifics on that question.
Great. All right. Thank you. So let's jump back to Haley. Haley, what type of strategies or what are you guys thinking about when you guys talk fintechs at your shop?
Yeah, so this is another area that I'm very passionate about. I love fintech, but I mainly love the partners that want to grow with credit unions. There are fintechs out there that they're really not passionate about growing with credit unions. They're passionate about other fintech or neobanks. And so we really look for those that want to work with us and want to help grow with us. And a lot like with Tim, we also take advantage of the Q2 Innovation Studio and the marketplace on our retail side to help us, be able to deliver solutions quickly to our members. And I would assume, now going back to, we have not yet launched our commercial strategy, but I would assume that we would do the same thing, because it makes sense to be able to offer a commercial member something unique in the marketplace that they could take advantage of in our experiences. So for me, it's really important also, and Tim's taken pretty much all of my answers. The data that we get from the fintech partners, we have a data warehouse, and we have to be able to consume that and to make sure that we can have reporting from our warehouse that is, holistic from across all of our fintech partners. And the other thing that we look for, and this would be whether it's commercial or retail, would be, what are their capabilities around being agile with our ability to change their system. For example, we have an integration hub, an API hub, whatever you want to name it, and we are allowing those connections through that hub, but also on the back end, we want to be able to control some things ourselves. We want to be able to have admin capabilities, and a lot of fintechs hold back on that. And they say, no, we're the owner of the product, and we know more about it than you do, which is fine. But as a credit union, we like to be able to have a little bit of control over what happens. So those are the things that are important to us in the retail space now, and I would believe it would be important in the commercial space.
Yeah, that's I would agree with you. So, Stefan, let's jump into our last poll questions as we wrap up over the next few minutes. Last poll question is, how important are fintech partnerships at your credit union? Not important at all. All right. Interesting. All right, let's go ahead and post those results, Stefan. All right, great. Thank you. So yeah, pretty interestingly right now, and it goes across some of our dialogue and discussion as well, is a lot of this is kind of a back end piece from a fintech standpoint, and the front end is trying to figure out and talk and reaching out and being a part of the dialogue without fintechs right now, but to actually execute it is probably further down the road. So Dean, any surprises here from what you guys see?
I am a little surprised that nobody said, no, we're not interested at all. Because I think if you had asked us, had the same poll maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, there would have been a fair amount of response that said, no, fintech's really not fitting in, because there was this whole view of, you heard like Jamie Dimon say, hey, I think the fintechs are going to eat our lunch, right? Are we against the fintechs? Now, the interesting thing is that fintech and financial institution partnerships are not necessarily new, right? And so what's new is through digital, the ability for fintechs and financial institutions, credit unions, or banks to partner together faster and more effectively. So, back in the day, there was a number of banks or credit unions that were selling payroll services through to their customers, but it was a difficult distribution method, because it did rely on in-person sales folks at all times to have those conversations and talk to businesses about why they should purchase payroll from the bank or credit union. And now things have changed. Now there's an expectation that as a business, I should be able to look at what the financial institution has to offer and just immediately purchase it, especially for small, medium-sized businesses. It's really interesting in the market. If you look at the small, medium-sized business segment, they are buying more fintech products than any other segment by far. And there are literally thousands of different fintechs that are solving very unique problems for specific types of businesses. And they're very innovative solutions. And so the challenge that has actually surfaced is, as these small, medium-sized businesses start acquiring these fintech solutions, it actually gets harder for them to manage the financial aspects of their business, because none of these solutions talk to each other. This has created the opportunity for integration into the digital banking solution to distribute those and integrate those fintechs directly so that the credit union can take a suite of solutions back out to the market and say, we have a set of solutions that are built for you. And that's really, really important, because you can imagine you go into like a dentist office practice and you go in with, hey, let me show you how we really solve the specific problems that you're having as a dental practice, versus a horizontal, let me show you how I have ACH or how wire works. You know, it's really bundling this stuff together, creating a unique experience so that you can go in and demonstrate that you understand their business, which is really, really important when you think about customer advocacy and the intimacy that the credit unions have. The better you can say, we understand you as a member, the better and more opportunities you're going to have to expand and deepen those relationships. So I think, you know, the whole fintech space is really super interesting. And technology advances around open architectures and the ability for fintechs to integrate into digital platforms once and have a larger distribution across the different financial institutions has really changed the game. And we're starting to see small, mid-size financial institutions offer 3, 4, 5, 6 different fintech solutions in a relatively short period of time of 6 or 12 months. So we're really starting to see the landscape change around fintech partnerships.
That's pretty awesome to see some of the pace of innovation these days. It's something that was a 24-month to 30-month cycles, 6 to 9 months these days. So, all right, be respectful of everyone's time. Thanks so much for joining us today. That'll bring us to a close. If we didn't get to a question, or if you have a question, please reach out to me, reach out to Dean, Haley, Tim, anyone on this call, Kirk. We're happy to reach out. I'm happy to say I don't know and put you with the experts, or I'm happy to answer as well if I do know. So we'll make sure someone follows up. If you have additional questions or want to check out available resources, you can go to our page, www.nafcu.org/Q2. There's also a webinar tomorrow that Q2 is doing. It's called Harnessing FinTech Partnerships to Win SMB Market Share in 2023 and Beyond. Tomorrow, there's a link in the chat. I think Kelly's put in the chat, or maybe I already have. Sorry if I didn't see it. There's a landing page for credit unions with valuable information and resources as well. And she's going to put a link in the chat as well. Truly thank you guys so much. It's the first time we've done a digital roundtable like this. We do these quite often in person. If one thing comes out of COVID that's positive, as I haven't found much yet, is maybe some of these digital things we can find some good ways to interact. And so thank you truly from NAFCU, from Q2, from all the folks on this call. Thank you guys so much for participating. And I look forward to seeing everybody in the future. Have a great day, everyone.